Hello and welcome back to Hot Take here on No Bullshit, where we review the latest movies and give you our hot take on them. Today's topic is Mile 22, starring Mark Wahlberg, Ronda Rousey, Lauren Cohen, and much more. This is one of the final blockbuster movies set for the rest of this summer. As kids start to go to school, we're kind of winding down the summer season. But does Mile 2 hold up and deliver us one last punch and kick in the asshole that we need to have fun while the summer ends? We're going to talk about that today here on Hot Take. In short, Mile 2 is a bit of a mixed bag. I enjoyed it a lot myself, but it is a certain specific kind of movie. I would say maybe it's a guy movie. You gotta like action, you gotta like terrorist plots, military operations, guns, fights, lots of cool stuff in there, but definitely not for everyone either. With that said, I did find a lot of fun things in this movie. Not every movie has to be a blockbuster made for everyone, not every movie has to be perfect, and this Mile 22 did deliver some fun. It had good action, it had a great cast, and some really cool effects too. I would say Mile 22 is not that good, but it's not that bad either. It's kind of in the middle there, and I think fans of the genre might really like it a lot. I certainly don't think this movie is as bad as everyone thinks it is. I've seen a lot of bad reviews, but I wouldn't write this one off just yet. It's a fun movie to watch. It's rated R too. It's got adult themes, it's got language, it's got a few laughs in there, and some really gory action scenes as well. Some crazy kills, so if you enjoy that kind of stuff, you're gonna like Mile 22. The story summary for Mile 22 goes like this. Basically, Mark Wahlberg runs this Special Forces secret operation force. They run different operations, basically kind of like spies meets government employees slash military employees. So he runs this group of misfits, almost like the Expendables, almost like one of those guns for hire kind of groups, and they work for the government on these secret missions that they're trying to help with espionage and stuff, kind of like a CIA undercover kind of op vibe. In the beginning of the movie, Mark Wahlberg and his crew are running this operation, and they come across some Russians in the building, and they blow things up. Bada bing, bada boom, a few things happen, and this kind of kickstarts the rest of the movie. Later on, we see Mark and his team, and they're in South Asia at an embassy, and they're trying to figure out this whole situation with this new guy that came in saying he has information for them. And this guy is a really cool character in the movie. He knows karate, and he knows all kinds of cool fight moves, and it was a lot of fun to watch him. If you've seen the Raid movies, the Raid 1 and the Raid 2, you'll know this guy kicks a lot of ass. And he does in this movie too. I think he gets held back a little bit by the direction, which was a little funky at times, a lot of shaky camera, definitely a few too many edits in there too, too many cuts and too much going on sometimes. But in the end, this guy does awesome fight scenes and does some really kick-ass moves. Mark Wahlberg holds the team together as well. He's a good lead. He has his little character quirks. He starts off snapping this rubber band on his wrist when he gets nervous. He kind of has this thing with his head where he's an asshole. He plays a pretty good character. I'll admit, the beginning of the movie was a little rocky. I was a little worried because they threw a few too many curse words in there, and they're trying to be too funny at the beginning. But by the time the plan and the set and the plot got into motion, I was pretty much hooked. Ronda Rousey makes an appearance in this movie as another girl in his crew, and then there's also Lauren Cohen from The Walking Dead. So overall, put those people together with John Malkovich also being the government contact, the guy that's running the whole group from another place, and the cast is really great in this movie. Great cast, some cool effects, and a pretty tight-knit, well-put-together story as well. It's just your standard action movie, but at the same time, they do some more fun stuff with it. It's got a cool location, it's in South Asia, it's got some cool futuristic stuff. Mark Wahlberg mentions a few things about Russia, and like current events are mixed in there. There's this new bomb, like poison thing they're trying to stop, which gets into like terrorism. So there's a lot of current event stuff that works well. The mission they go into was really cool too. They basically turned the whole movie into this escort mission, and it actually felt like a video game to me, like in a good way, like a good movie version of a video game story. Because if you played any games, any kind of shooter games like a Rainbow Six or even like a Call of Duty or something like that, you often get into these escort missions, and halfway through the movie it basically turns into an escort mission. They're escorting this Asian guy, that fighter guy from the Raid I was telling you about. Forgive me, I can't think of his name, but I'll look it up later. I'll put it on the screen. But they're escorting that guy through the city to these airplanes, and that's the whole kind of base of the story. It's like an escort mission in a video game, and in that it's like seeing the full extended cutscenes of a video game, because there's the shooting and stuff too, there's the tense situations, there's going through a building, like kind of similar to the Raid style, but maybe more like a Mission Impossible vibe too. But they're not as much spies as they are kind of like special forces, but it's got that vibe. I would say Mark Wahlberg was going for a Mission Impossible kind of thing here, but definitely Mission Impossible is the better movie, but this movie's a lot of fun too. It's got its own little style. It's got rated R going with it and some darker tones and some more crazy kills as well. The downsides of this movie, well, it's a little generic, a little specific. If you're not into this genre, again, you might not like it. I would say the story has a lot of cliffhangers at the end. No spoilers, but there does seem to be some sort of plot to kind of like set up sequels, which I thought was funny. But overall, the movie, it's really tight. I like the way that it was short and it got it all in there and got it all done really quick. Didn't feel like that long. It was like a very quick ride, and it ends and you enjoy it, and then you kind of want to see what happens next. With all that said, let's go ahead and bring out the hot take meter. I will easily give Mile 22 2.2 flames out of 5. It's not quite a 3, but it's also not as bad as a 2. This is a watchable movie, and if you like this genre like I like a little bit, I like this genre a little bit and I think it's fun, but if it's one of your favorites, you might give this a 3 or a 4 because it's well done. It's got the action and the fight scenes in there, but for me, it was a 2.2, maybe a 2.5 flames. Not something I would recommend to everyone, but if you're a fan, if you're hardcore into Mark Wahlberg or you want to see a Ronda Rousey movie, definitely worth a shot. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hot Take, everyone. We'll see you next week with the new and latest movie. Bye-bye.